Hi, this is Mark Meir, the voice of Commander Shepard, and you're tuned in to the EnteR ChazmaN podcast, my favorite podcast on the Citadel. ChazmaN and Phoenix, let the conversations begin. To the Normandy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the EnteR ChazmaN podcast. As always, I just want to say this is your place to hear all of the up-to-date major video game news that me and my buddy Phoenix have found super interesting throughout the week. Dang it, already cutting. There we go.
Alright, I got this, Chaz. Hey everybody, welcome to the EnteR MAN podcast, the best podcast on the Citadel. This is where we talk about all the gaming news that nobody really cares about, but we find interesting because we have nothing better to do. So, ChazmaN, how are you doing on this fine post-Easter week?
Man, you just ruined everything. I'm doing pretty good. Played a few games, got to watch some TV shows over the little vacation. I don't know. You kind of threw me off. What about you? I know you lost your voice, so you had quite a crazy week.
Oh yeah, no. Leading up to Easter was just, man. It's always a big thing, just with what I do for work and everything. Like the Easter week in particular is like the busiest time of the year. I use my voice a lot, and it just, man, it was gone by the time we got to like Wednesday of last week. But all good. I'm slowly recovering. I'm a little raspier than normal, but I just give you that nice, smooth, sultry voice now. So maybe you'll have more listeners because of it. So
if
you're welcome.
If you didn't know, Phoenix is in an Oasis cover band, so he sings Wonderwall 10 to 20 times a week. I'm kidding.
That's it. Just that one song.
It's everyone's favorite song, Wonderwall. But yeah, I guess just a quick teaser. I mean, for the topics that we got set up for you guys today, so we're going to talk about what we played throughout the week. That's going to be, what do you say? You think that's going to be contentious? Not contentious, but I think that might be kind of toxic for one of the games.
I'm not going to say toxic, but
not positive. Yeah. Yeah. So our first topic is going to be, we're going to touch on Oddworlds. There was the developers behind the Oddworld new game that, Soulstorm, that came out on Sony. They had big problems with how their game apparently sold, so that'll be our topic numero uno. Topic 2, we're going to go into what's been very talked about this last week is Sony and Xbox wanting to add ads into their video games, or their free-to-play video games. We'll touch on that. And then finally, as we've been continuing to do, unfortunately for Phoenix, we're going to give our thoughts on the episodes 4 and 5 for the Halo the TV show, and then also give our thoughts on Halo Infinite Season 2 kind of roadmap that they've kind of published just this last couple days, actually. So yeah, Phoenix, we kind of went into Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, their DLC called The Coiled Captors. We bought that and played it with our buddy Kyle. I'll let you start off. What did what did you think?
It was such a kick in the balls. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I really wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I mean, you could probably tell as we were going through it. Like, I didn't want to admit just how bad it was. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess the thing is, like, so to be fair, my recollection or my time with Borderlands DLC harks back to, like, Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2, which I would say, like, hands down is some of my favorite DLC across, like, all of gaming over the past few generations. Like, the BL1 and BL2 DLC was excellent. I didn't play much of BL3's DLC, so I can't really say. I think after reading up on it a little bit, I heard that was a little more lacking. So maybe if I would have played that, I would have been better prepped for what we were about to get for this. But I don't know. I was expecting maybe not something quite as grandiose as the stuff from the earlier games, but I expected something, at least memorable. Maybe have a little bit of story content or anything like that, some side quests. This was nothing. This was, for those who have played it and are familiar with like the Chaos Chamber at the end, the whole DLC is literally like one run through of a Chaos Chamber, and honestly, not even as interesting or as rewarding. Like, you don't get as many rewards at the end. The boss at the end is, I think, easier or probably weaker than other bosses throughout the rest of the game. It's just no story content, no nothing. This is really just kind of a waste of DLC. I'm very, very sad to say that.
Yeah. I guess my best way to kind of talk about my feelings about the game is actually it's exactly what I said during our stream where we played it with our buddy Kyle. In my head, I guess I couldn't phrase it any better than I did then. Whereas about an hour 20 into our Quote Captors stream, I said something along the lines of like, it's super annoying that they would release a DLC so quickly after the game came out, knowing that most of the hardcore base would be like max level, max gear, and like, and my buddy Kyle said it right. Like, I don't inherently have a problem with it being so short. What we had a problem with was how easy it was. It wasn't challenging. There really was no gear we got from it that really helped us out or improved. And like you said, there were no story beats to it. So it was like, what did we really get out of it? Out of just knocking out a few, going through some really basic levels. So it felt very pointless.
Yeah, to play devil's advocate for just a minute, because you kind of brought up a somewhat interesting point. So you're thinking that the developer should assume that anybody at this point is, like max level, looking for in-game content, which, let's think about that for a minute. So when you say max level, you're level 40 in the game, right? Have you done all the Chaos Chambers?
No, I haven't. So
technically, you're not max level.
Well, maybe that's a bad way of phrasing it, but but the strength level when comparing yourself to what the DLC is, I mean, like...
Oh, that's fair. I guess the reason I bring that up, because I read some article, or maybe I lied, it's not an article, maybe it was just some point on Reddit, which, take that with a grain of salt, but they were looking at, okay, how many people are actually at, a max-ish level, whether that mean you reach level 40, or you've done, Chaos level 20, whatever it may be.
I think 35 is the max Chaos level. It's like 35.
It is now. Yeah, they just raised it.
Yeah.
But I guess they were looking at like achievements, and it's a pretty low achievement percentage of how many people have gotten to that point, like under 5% or something. I'm just pulling that number out of my head. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but it was really, really low in comparison. So if you think the developers are looking at those type of numbers, and honestly they have more, in-depth data than that, they're looking at a situation where probably the majority of people aren't at in-game level. So maybe that's not what this particular content was supposed to be. That isn't supposed to be the next in-game content. It's just, for maybe those who are going through the campaign normally, it's a little side venture they could dig into. And, honestly, if I think about it that way, if this would have been something that popped up and we could have played it halfway through our campaign run, I don't think I would look at it quite as negatively.
It would have been pretty fun.
So maybe it's just because we are coming at it from, okay, we are, at least max base level, and we're looking for kind of extra content to play because we've exhausted everything else, then it's really disappointing. But if you look at it as an add-on to just your general playthrough, it's probably not so bad.
I agree. I can see that.
I do still find it disappointing because, once again, we are coming from that. We've already played through the game. But, yeah, I think the game's only been out for, like a month and a half, something like that. Not a very long time. So odds are people aren't at endgame, and they are probably putting up this DLC with the anticipation that as more people pick up the game down the line, this will be content they can enjoy going through it. But still, it hurts for those who are further along in it. And the time gating, I don't know if you mentioned that yet. The time gating nature of this burns a little bit too for those who are, once again, max level, because it really is just this one run. It takes 10 minutes if we did it quick. If they at least would have given you the option to do the extra levels, which for those who aren't aware, in case we didn't mention it, the way this DLC works is it's a run through. You fight this one boss at the end, but they're supposed to every week, they said?
It's each week a new form or his next level or whatever is introduced.
Yeah, so the boss levels up every week. So after you do it 4 or 5 or however many times, you end up with kind of a mega boss. And maybe in context, if you could do all of that all at once, the DLC would have felt a little more I don't know, rewarding. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, or at least a little more substantial. But as it is in this time gated format, it burns quite a bit.
Sorry, while you were saying that, I was trying to look up the guy I actually sent you that video for, because I wanted to kind of give him a shout out. I actually really liked his videos. Waiting for this ad to play through. But yeah, I'll switch over. Just this guy right here, Thick Fillet. That's kind of funny.
That's a great name.
Yeah, I just kind of enjoyed his video and kind of enjoyed his take on kind of how disappointing it was, mainly because he was, I don't know if you guys know, but he he actually was able to play all 4 encounters of the final boss on his first playthrough, and he actually walked away kind of like pleasantly happy with with his game. And then immediately, I guess it was patched out, and yeah, kind of interesting. I think that probably should have been. I think you mentioned that probably should have been the way that the DLC was just played at initially, but.
I'm trying to think of what the benefit is for time gating this. Like, I'm sure it's so they can try to encourage, recurring players over the next few weeks, but if anything, it's turned me off to playing it for the next few weeks. Like, if I could have, hopped right into and grinded out, a higher level boss for the next few weeks, that would have been more entertaining. But the fact that I know I might as well just wait 4 weeks and then have access to the the entire boss rush. I might as well just wait. So I don't know, it's actually deterred me from playing rather than encourage me to play consistently for the next few weeks. So yeah, I think they should just release the whole thing, all 4 or 5 runs, whatever it is, or levels, whatever they're calling it, and just let everybody dig into it.
Well, now that I think about it, like the way they've also done it, like you were saying, because of the time gate, is now I feel like they've actually ramped up the expectations even more on the multiple levels of this shark thing. You know what I mean? If they'd have released it all at once, then maybe like minor improvements to the enemy throughout might have been like we would have been more open to. But now all of a sudden you're making us wait. Now all of a sudden that thing, he needs to be like Gojira at the end. You know what I mean?
And it's never going to feel like that. If
No,
there's 4 levels, and you think, at the end of it, you have this boss who is comparable to like an in-game boss at the base level, then all the tiers in between are going to feel really, really lackluster. So, yeah, I feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot here. Like, I can pseudo understand why they did this time gate, but I argue was the bad move for them. And here's the thing: they have other stuff that could keep you coming back. Like, it wasn't even part of the DLC, but their hot patch they put out with it raised the chaos level if you set to 35. So for those who are wanting that kind of grindy in-game content, that's 15 extra levels to grind, and I actually enjoy that. I mean, it's not for everybody, but I'm working my way up to 35 now. If that would have kept me busy for a few weeks and still kept me as a recurring player, regardless if they had this stupid time-gated nonsense. So, yeah, I don't know.
And yeah, actually, you and our buddy Cox, you said it pretty. I think you said it pretty well. Like, it's kind of sad because the main game, actually, for the most part, I feel like had bought a lot of goodwill because we actually enjoyed the main game, and for this to be like our immediate experience after for the first DLC, it was just kind of like, man, you guys kind of were rolling there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of put me on a roller coaster because when we talked about this, I think briefly already, but like we love Borderlands 1 and 2, and then Borderlands 3 was a big dip in the roller coaster.
It was still fun because we were playing with each other, but.
Yeah, but still, in comparison, it turned me off, in all honesty. Like, I lost a lot of interest after playing that game. And then I had no interest in Tina's on the, outset. And then once we got into it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So roller coaster goes up. And now we're dipping back down because the DLC just seems like more of a letdown like BL3 did. So, I don't know. It's disappointing. I'm hoping they can take this feedback because, this is not... a unique perspective on this DLC. Just if you do a passing Google search,
I was just gonna say, yeah,
everybody's berating this thing, from guys on Forbes to Reddit to everywhere. So they are very aware that this did not land well for them. So I'm hoping they, go back to the kitchen a little bit, rework things, and definitely pull something out a little more substantial for the next one.
The same thing on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and you type in Coiled Captors, every video is like bad. I don't know.
It's annoying too because along with the DLC, they put out that hot patch, which honestly, that hot patch was huge. Like for those who are like really following the game, like for like minute details and tweaks and whatnot, the hot patch did a lot to add some quality of life stuff and fix some things. So it's not. Here's the thing: I don't want to feel like or come across like these developers have been lazy by any means. They clearly have been working their butts off since this game released to fix problems and update things and put out this giant hot patch and give us some pseudo new content. I think what really makes it hurt is this content as it is, as unsubstantial as it is, was $10. And this is, as it sits, is not $10 to me. Like,
I think it could have been a fun idea. It just feels implemented wrongly. Like,
yeah.
God.
No, I'm sorry, I won't cut you off because I agree with where you're going.
I feel like, again, I mentioned it, if all of this was available at the beginning, this could have been fun. This could have been a really enjoyable you know, I don't know what it took us 2 hours to run, maybe 3 times. So it could have been a legit
That's
fun
being
3 to 4
generous.
hours. Yeah.
And it did not really take us 2 hours. Like, that was us putzing around, taking forever. It took us like 20 minutes to figure out where the DLC was. That was a little weird. So we had to find the DLC, figure out how to even start it. I think the actual run took us 15 minutes. And the other runs were only because we were trying to figure out if we could unlock the next level. They were kind of just wasted runs. So we didn't get anything new in those, that extra hour or so
spent
that
a
we
lot of
played.
time just meleeing things.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those little what are the challenges they add to it? We have to melee things each room or something. Yeah, no, that was dumb. So yeah, they should release everything all at once. That would have helped. As it sits, for those who are playing this game and are looking for a review on it or a reason to pick it up, I would say hold off if that is if you're in that boat. Just wait. Maybe they'll tweak it, or at least wait 3 or 4 weeks and then pick it up. And as a full experience, it's probably going to be more enjoyable. But until then, just wait.
I guess the only last thing I wanted to mention is just I should have seen it coming, because from the get-go I could tell. From the get-go I should have seen that the DLC wasn't going to be very well thought out, because I think you mentioned it, how weird it was to even find out how to start it, because there is no like quest pop-up, there is no notification. It's just I mentioned it in our stream, like before you guys hopped on, I at least wanted to figure out how to start it, and I had to go to Google and it says go to this location on the map, it's there. I'm like, well, how the heck would we have known that? I don't know. I just thought it was kind of...
I think they've done stuff like that in the past, but it did feel awkward, especially in the context of this game. Like, because honestly, it's a big game to just hop around and try to find stuff. So to have no kind of cue that you're supposed to go back to the overworld map and find something was a little odd.
I mean, I would say maybe it's worth a purchase if you're just starting the game, like the entire game. But I mean, if you finished it, because we were going in expecting like a what's the word, a wide I don't know, a wide amount of like content. But maybe if you just don't notice it and you buy it when the same time you get the main game, maybe it fits in better. You know what I mean? Or you notice that less.
I'd still say wait. I mean, I agree in context, but you gotta think if someone's picking up the game, they're probably gonna run through the story in a week or two, and you're not gonna have the full content available to you in a week or two. I mean,
that's fair. That's true enough.
It'll probably seem less offensive at that rate, but I don't know. I still think it's just a hold off. Like, if you already have the game and you're looking for something else to do in the game, this isn't it. At least not yet. Wait another month is what it's going to look like, then pick up the whole thing. And if you're just picking up the game, there's so much other good content in there. Just play that. Start working on chaos runs or whatnot, and then maybe once you've gotten to a certain chaos level, this whole DLC will be out, and then you can decide after seeing a little more reviews of the full experience if that's something you want to put your money into.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then just a little side thing. I know Phoenix, he didn't get to play this game, but a little game I'm going to be super quick with is I got to play the game The Gunk, which is a game I actually started playing a couple of months ago. I stopped playing it because I ended up going on vacation and just never came back to it. I kind of wish I'd came back to it sooner because I only had like 2 hours left on it. But I guess just a couple little quick thoughts. It's a small indie game that's on Game Pass. It was developed by a company called Image Informed Games, who are apparently the SteamWorld Dig people. It took me about 5 to 6 hours to complete. That's honestly about as long as this game could possibly be with how much story content is there. Let me switch over. I guess I'll play the B-roll. But yeah, I guess the super kind of quick is it very much reminds me of something like Super Mario Sunshine, where you're kind of going through levels and kind of clearing out this mysterious gunk that's on this planet, and the gunk is kind of preventing the growth of life, and then there's all this sorts of intrigue with this alien race, intrigue as to where they've gone, why they aren't there. And there's sorts of like alien architecture and structure and buildings everywhere, and it's kind of just unraveling what's kind of going on this planet. The main character, I already forgot their names. Oh, that's the one thing I didn't put on here. But the characters are kind of forgettable. I mean, they're not poorly acted. It's just, I don't know. Nothing really stood out for me in terms of just the characters themselves. I guess, like I said, mechanically, it's very much like Super Mario Sunshine, using the vacuum, kind of clearing out spaces. I would say mainly the biggest hook to this game is exactly that, where like the biggest kind of rush you get is kind of just seeing the plant life come to form after you clear out a space. You kind of definitely build up a rhythm and get very much into kind of seeing what you've just unlocked or cleaned up. Let's see. I guess I would say it's a very easy game, really simplistic. The puzzles are not that in depth. The combat is not really that in depth either. I mean, I feel like all this kind of sounds kind of negative. I guess my biggest problem with the game is when I finished it, I kind of was asking myself, like, who exactly is this game for? With all of that said, it's super simplistic with the combat, super simplistic with the puzzles. It's pretty linear. I wouldn't say there's much kind of exploration that you need to do everything within the game. I would say it's a game that should be tailored for children, but there's an oddly large amount of cussing within the game, which kind of threw me off. They like this character and her friend on the ship. Their like dialogue back and forth is like just filled with cussing, kind of some F-bombs, S-bombs. And I don't have a problem with cussing, but if you're playing a game that doesn't feel like it fits, it really stands out. At least to me it did. But yeah, I guess just kind of... Is there any questions you had? That's all I had to say, pretty much, Phoenix. Anything you were wondering about it, if you should play it or not?
I knew absolutely nothing about this game. I'm kind of watching the B-roll that you have up there while you're talking about it. You said there was combat. Oh, okay, I saw some. There. I don't know.
They're good?
No, I have nothing, man. I mean, it has a interesting art style. I mean, aesthetically, it looks kind of interesting. Like, as far as like your cussing comment, I rarely find that adds a whole lot to most of these games. Like, I mean, unless it's something like like The Last of Us, where it's a necessary kind of dialogue moment where it fits. But
I don't have a problem with it, but it just didn't feel like it fit in this type of game. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. As I can't speak a whole lot to it. I didn't play the game, so I'll just kind of go off what you're saying, your opinion. I would probably completely disagree with you because I disagree with you about everything you say for the most part. Yeah. So I'll probably play it and think it's game of the year. But with that being said,
I don't think you would think it's game of the year. It's not that in depth. I mean, again, overall, I would say I really like the game. I would definitely recommend anyone play it, especially with how much time the game involves. It's not going to take up a heck of a whole lot of your time. Again, I suck at video games, and I finished it in about 5 hours, which that's nothing, 5 hours. If you compare it to like other games I want to play right now, like Guardians, I think Guardians is like 20, 25. That stuff like
that long.
Yeah. You don't think it's that long? I've read Time to Beat 2025, I thought.
Man, I don't feel like I put that much time. Maybe I did. It felt quicker than that, but I highly recommend Guardians. I mean, if that's
one of my next, yeah. But yeah, I guess that was my only real main gripe with the game is I didn't know exactly who the game was tailored for. There's oddly a lot amount of cussing, so it's not necessarily made for kids, but everything is so kind of easy. An adult, I don't think, would feel that challenged by anything. I don't know. It was just kind of
you, Chaz, because you're terrible at games now. Can't play Elden Ring, can't play Tunic, so. Clearly, they made this game just for you and your inept skill level. No, I was kidding.
That probably maybe that is exactly made for lesser skilled adults, I guess. But
here's the thing: I don't know. Skill is a hard thing to judge, and I haven't played this, so it's really hard for me to say. But there are plenty of games that I have enjoyed where they're not hard games, but they're maybe atmospheric, or there's an interesting narrative to it, or something like that. So I don't know if this game checks any of those boxes based on what you're saying.
I would say atmospheric it does, but narrative I wouldn't. It's a really simple story.
Yeah, I don't know. I won't pry into this anymore. I said I am coming way on the outset of this, so I have no real specific opinions on this game in particular.
I would say again, it doesn't take up much of your time, so at least At least I don't know. I didn't feel like I wasted. I didn't feel like it was a bad enough experience where I wasted my 5 hours. It was like, oh, that was fun. That was neat. I'm done with
This
it.
was Game Pass, right?
Yeah, it's a Game Pass title.
I'll tell you that goes a long way nowadays. Like, and maybe that's one of the reasons this is on Game Pass. Like, I don't know if this was a physical release or like what the pricing of it was, but this will go into I think our conversation in a few minutes about Oddworld. But Game Pass gives a lot of games that would not have been successful a chance, if not to maybe be a financial hit, at least to get some exposure in the gaming community. Like, I mean, just looking at this game, and if I saw this on the shelf somewhere at GameStop or wherever, I probably wouldn't be inclined to pick it up. It had no critical buzz that I had heard of or anything like that. So
it's definitely like, oh, that's $10, I'll pick it up. It's not like a full price.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of things. Or even at that, I mean, the way I get games, like this, honestly, if I saw this, it would have to be like a $5 game, something like that. However, with it being on Game Pass, I mean, as you came across, it's like, hey, that looks interesting. I'll try it. It doesn't cost me anything more than what I'm already doing. And if nothing else, even if the game doesn't sell more because of it, it gives more exposure to the game. Sometimes that opens it up to maybe has critical favor, and maybe it gets greenlit for a sequel, something like that, builds up a fan base. So, I don't know. That's probably the direction they were going with something like this. Maybe just kind of Game Pass fodder, but I don't know. Interesting kind of thing to think about.
And it is kind of, I guess it is kind of nice also with us having to do starting this podcast and doing all of this stuff. It is kind of nice, to shout out something small that maybe a lot of people haven't gotten to experience, if it's positive, But, alright, well, that was it. I finished the game. I had fun. I recommend you guys do it if you got about 5 hours to spend. So, yeah, we will move on here. Switch down. Where are we at? Sorry. Oh, no. I'm almost there. Alright, so this was a very interesting topic. I'm actually a little bit behind on this topic. Are you still there? I haven't heard you now.
Yeah.
Okay. This topic actually is kind of older now. It's because we're kind of putting our podcast a little bit later right now. But this one was what is this? It says it was April 13th. Let me switch over. Apparently the developers behind the game Oddworld Soulstorm, which was a game that was on PlayStation Plus on the PS5, apparently they made it pretty known that they were kind of disappointed with the game's sales. Or the quote was devastated for sales, says the developer. I'll let you kind of start off, Phoenix. Did you want to kind of explain what was going on here?
So from what I understand, reading the article, basically, early on, when this game was getting ready to be released, or maybe a little bit before that, I guess Sony approached the developers and were like, "Hey, how do you feel about putting this on PS Plus?" Right during the same release window. So basically, I think the month the game released physically, anybody who had PS Plus could also go ahead and download it. And I guess the logic behind this at the time was it sounded like the developers were in a rough spot. They needed the finances. They had some debt and some technical issues, blah, 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 blah. So the cash influx from Sony was definitely, I think, a helpful thing. I think they were considering, this is going to come out. It's early on in the PS5's life cycle. No, not even that many people have PS5s, right? So how many people are going to actually, download this and affect our actual physical sales? So
only one out of two of us have PS5s, actually.
Yes, 50%.
Yeah.
But either way, they were thinking pretty favorable that, okay, well, they're not going to worry about, losing a lot of sales to the PS Plus subscription. It'll just be a nice way to get some cash influx to keep the game going, finish it up. And they do. And then the game ends up having 4 million downloads. It was like the highest downloaded game that month or something like that on PS Plus.
Was it really?
I thought that's probably right. I could be wrong. I don't want to miscommunicate, but it had a huge amount of downloads. Whereas physical sales were, I don't have the article in front of me. Was it like 50,000, Chaz, or something? It was.
Where's the article? I have it right.
I'll say substantially lower than the 4 million downloads. 50 to 100,000 was expected. Oh, I'm sorry. So they were expecting They were expecting about 50 to 100,000 downloads.
But it did like 4 million. Yeah.
Yeah. So it may or may not actually say their physical sales. But regardless, they're basically chalking that up to being like, well, all these people downloaded it for free. Nobody bought the game, and that really sucks. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll give you my take on it. I don't know if it was that article from IGN. I think it was a different one. No, I think it is that one. Towards the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Basically, this was my feeling just as I was reading through it. So, yeah, that sucks. I mean, I'm not gonna act like these developers aren't affected because they're not getting this extra revenue from physical sales. But here's the thing: for one, it did not sound like this game, from a development standpoint, was in a good spot before Sony came along, gave them this opportunity. Right? If you read up to, I'm pretty sure it said they had some debt going on, some technical issues. There was a chance this game could have got delayed, may not have been made, who knows. Okay, so it was definitely some issues, and they needed that cash influx then.
Sorry to cut. Were there physicals for this game, or was this digital only?
Oh, no, it's physical. I have a physical.
Yeah,
I got it when Walmart. Yeah, I got it when Walmart did that crazy sale, and I got it for like $2 or something.
Sorry to cut you off. I couldn't even remember if it.
Oh no, that's fine. So either way, they needed that cash influx. Without it, there's a chance this game may have not even been made potentially. And here's the thing: yes, 4 million people downloaded it. That doesn't mean that 4 million people would have went out and bought that game. It's like the argument for piracy. Like just because a item or an asset was pirated 10 million times, that doesn't mean those same 10 million people would have went out and bought it. Okay, they pirated because it was easy and free. Same thing here with this. People downloaded Oddworld because it was free. Well, not free, but yeah, available through their subscription. Didn't cost them anything more. Why wouldn't you download it? And the thing with that is, regardless if you're an Oddworld fan or not, like if you have that PS Plus subscription, you're gonna click the download button to add it to your license. That's what I do for just about any game that comes across. Even if I'm not gonna play it right now, I'll click download, add it to my account, and I can always come back and play it later.
For the Xbox Live, we've been doing that for years. Where it's like new month, oh here's your 2 free games. I'm like, okay, I don't care what games they are, I'm downloading them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that 4 million does not translate directly to sales. And I think I had a question for you. Or it's kind of a general statement, I suppose. But I mean, are you a big Oddworld fan in particular?
I saw that. I'm not a big No, I'm a big fan of like one of the games in particular. I really liked
Abe's Odyssey back in the day.
Abe's Odyssey back on PS1. I remember playing it for a short time. But yeah, that's about it.
And I don't think there's a huge fan base for this anymore. I mean, I'm sure there are people who, they see Oddworld, they have a little bit of nostalgia for those who were fans of it back in the PS1 days, but Oddworld was even then kind of a niche, quirky thing. I don't think it had, like, this giant mass following even back in the PS1 days. And they had, like Munch's Odyssey after that and something else, like in the Xbox.
It's like being disappointed over something Earthworm Jim oriented. It's like, how many people remember Earthworm Jim? You know what I mean?
There are people who care about. I'm not trying to downplay. Yeah. For those who will enjoy Oddworld, I'm sure it's a fantastic series, and if you enjoy it, that's great.
No offense,
but
love Earthworm Jim.
Yeah, but the point being is, like, it's not like this had some crazy mass appeal. At least I don't think so. And I did watch some gameplay footage of it, and it looked fine. It didn't jump off the page at me. It looks
fun. I would have played it.
Yeah, but I guess my point is I probably wouldn't have gone on my way and bought this, at least not at retail price. Like, I mean, I got it physically on sale for, like, I'm pretty sure it was under $5 or a crazy Walmart deal. But if it would have been $30, $40, $50, I just would have passed it up.
It honestly reminds me kind of similar of, like, I guess maybe a franchise similar to compare it to on the Microsoft side would be, like, maybe, like, Psychonauts 2. Or, like, the Psychonauts name, the brand is a name, people know it, but like, how many people actually went out and do you think would go out and buy Psychonauts 2? I don't even know if they made physicals for that. I'm just saying, comparing it in terms of the name brand, where it's like
so they're kind of niche. Yeah.
They're niche, yeah.
The difference is, so Psychonauts 2, when it came out, had a lot of critical favor, right? Got reviewed really well. A lot of people had it on its Game of the Year list.
There's a lot of Game of the Year stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so even if you weren't a fan, that buzz would have been big enough. You'd be like, oh, that's cool, I might check it out. I looked up the Metacritic on Oddworld. It's like a 66 or something. Yeah. I mean, I know Metacritic, isn't the end-all be-all. I don't know what IGN had on it. But point being, this was not some critical darling that, everybody was just praising. Word of mouth was going to, sell this thing in 1 billion copies when it was all said and done. Like, this is just an interesting game, maybe has a little bit of, nostalgic following. This game was not going to sell 4 million copies. So I definitely feel for the developers, like, it stings if they're looking at this as either lost revenue, or maybe they really did need that hit. I mean, I don't know how much of this is going to affect them as a studio, if maybe they're not going to be able to be financially viable moving forward, I don't know. But it certainly is not Sony's fault. They took this deal out of necessity, it sounds like. So if anything, Sony kind of came in, white knighted them a little bit, and helped them get this game to actually come out. To downplay this now and act like, oh, this is devastating, I don't know. I feel like that's really missing the big point here. They would not have potentially had this game out without Sony's help. It would have never sold 4 million copies.
I still feel like a lot of arguments that center around the subscription-based game, or these games that come to these subscription services and stuff, a lot of these arguments are still really difficult and tough to tackle until someday when we learn how much of a cut or how much revenue is actually being paid to these small-time developers from Microsoft or from Sony. I feel like until we actually know numbers, it's really hard to tell how big of a, you know, how brutal it is, the sales numbers for these games are. Because, like you were saying, a game like the Gunk we were just talking about, like, that's a game where I don't know how many people were really ever going to play that, but because it was on Game Pass, you know, it kind of stuck out. It's like, oh, and, you know, I don't know.
I think, and I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but this one thing stuck out to me. I was reading something or listening to something. It might have been, I want to say it was SkillUp's recent video. But regardless, he was talking about, you know, Microsoft subbing out Guardians of the Galaxy and for what they paid for. Because I think they had some information about how much they paid to get that license.
But that's Guardians of the Galaxy. That's going to be higher than...
Yeah. Well, here's my point, though. Like, it ended up, basically, for as many people have downloaded it now on Game Pass for what they paid, each copy was basically licensed for, like, $3. Like, that's how much, basically, Microsoft paid to let each person play it, which is ridiculous when you think about it. So they're able to let everybody play it for $3, and they're making buku bucks off that subscription, I'm sure. So,
yeah.
But it's interesting, too, to think about it, because now you're looking at this subscription model from two different ends. Because in one situation, you have it where the subscription agreement was entered before the game was released. And then with Guardians, you're looking at it after. And those are very interesting scenarios, because, like, both of these companies needed that subscription, I think, to add any more life to their game. Like, as I said, from what I'm reading in this article for Oddworld, even though I don't know, you know, specifics, it sounded like they needed that subscription to make this game actually happen. I should say they needed that deal. So it may not have been as much money as they wanted, but it had to have been enough that they agreed to it to get this game off the ground. So in that point of view, this was a good thing for them, and it was a good thing for gamers, right? Because gamers got a good deal on this game. And on the other end for Guardians, it did not sell well for Square on their own, right? That was the big thing. They were super disappointed on the earnings for Guardians, which is sad, but, you know, it is what it is. So this gave them another opportunity to get more, you know, plays out of it. They got a little more money from Microsoft. Yes, it's not as much as if they would have sold it physically, but they did get more than they were going to get if they would have left it physical.
I was going to say, do you think in a way also a benefit of having your game on a Game Pass, on a Sony Plus, PS Plus, maybe it's not just your sales or players, like almost in a way, maybe it also beneficial is because maybe it's a form of advertising. You know, whenever people go onto their Game Pass app or whatever, they'll constantly see your game. So in a way, it's almost like yeah, you may be taking a hit, you know, game sales wise, but your game is constantly being put out there to people who are constantly playing these games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where I was going with it. Like with Guardians, like now that game has gotten into the hands of so many more people, and you know the critical praise on it is now being shown to all these other gamers who missed out on it, and that might now potentially develop a fan base that maybe a sequel might be greenlit, because now there won't be a fervent people being like, yeah, we really want to see Guardians, we'll be willing to buy it next time.
Because let's be honest, Oddworld Soulstorm is a game that probably would desperately need that type of advertising power that a service like that provides. I mean, we've talked about it, but Oddworld's a fairly big name in the game industry, but it is not something people probably would remember.
Yeah, I'd argue to even call it like a big name anymore. Like, I know it because, you know, I had a PS1. That was in my generation.
We know it because we're game people.
Well, not even just game people, but that's a game that I grew up with. If I asked my nephews right now who are, 15, 16...
they wouldn't know, no.
They'd have no idea. So like, it's hard to say this is a big game. It's definitely got some, gaming chops behind it, but as far as it being some big mainstream following, it doesn't have that. So I don't know. I tend to look at the subscription model more favorably. Granted, you're right. I don't know exactly the deals that are made behind the scenes of, how much money these developers are really getting off of it. And it'd be really interesting to see what those, transactions are like. But here's the thing. They wouldn't be entering those transactions if they didn't find some benefit to them. They might not get as much as they could have one way or the other, but they're getting a lot of backing by going through these subscriptions. It's going to be cash influx. They get on a system that has infrastructure and advertisement and marketing that reaches millions of people just automatically. Like, you don't have to go and
your
try
game
to
is
have
already
their
on a
found.
platform.
Exactly. So I don't know. I'm not trying to come across like I don't have any sympathy for like developers like this and the Oddworld's sake. But at the same time, I feel like they probably lucked out with that deal. I look at it this way: if Sony didn't come and offer them that game, or that deal, I should say, either A, I don't think the game would have been made, or it would have been delayed, meaning it would have been more costly to develop. I still don't think it would have sold well, and then this company would probably be buying for bankruptcy, potentially, depending on their financial situation. So if anything, this looks like a situation where that game, if not the company, might have been saved. And maybe I am reading into this way too much. I do not know the financial situation going on behind the scenes, but that's the potential take I look at, just, at a very high surface level. So I'll leave it there.
Oh man, I did have one more thought to throw on. No, what was it? I was too busy listening to you.
Sultry voice. It hypnotizes everybody who hears it now.
Oh, I kind of just adding on to what you were saying. I do kind of agree with you. Like, I'm not really at the point of feeling bad. I feel like these subscription services have been around long enough where devs, I would think, have an idea of how much or how beneficial it is to them or how much of a negative impact it is to put it on a service like this. So I do feel like there is a point where it's like, okay, you guys know what you're getting out of and what you're not getting out of putting it on the service. So I'm just saying, I guess I don't really feel too bad. I don't know. I think that's what you were touching on.
Yeah, like, we don't know any of these deals and numbers. I would imagine those in the gaming industry have a much better idea about it. Of course, they do because they made the deal. So they wouldn't have made it if they didn't think it was a good deal at the time. Like, I know they had expectations of only downloading 100,000, but so what? I mean, they made a deal. It panned out a little differently. I don't think that's what's affecting their bottom line the way they think it is. I feel like it's a little, hyperbolic to be like, oh, this was devastating. Like, I don't like that argument because they would not have sold 4 million units. Like, I would argue they wouldn't have sold a quarter of that. I mean, I of course can't prove it because what's played out is already played out, but that feels like they just had this pie in the sky kind of moment where it's like, oh, that we would have sold 4 million units, and that's all this money and revenue we're now losing out on because of big bad Sony. And not that they're saying that, man, they don't come out and straight up say that they're mad at Sony or anything like that, but I don't know, to call it devastating, and I guess maybe to them it feels that way, but I don't know. I look at this more of a saving grace than anything else.
They've also got their game on one platform, I think. So it's like, it's another, like, I mean, if you want more game downloads, you should probably expand out. I mean, as far as I know, that's not on Xbox. I don't know if that's on PC or not.
Well, I was going to say that Sony owns the Oddworld franchise, but I don't think so. Because I know Munches was on Xbox a while back, so I don't know. I don't know the licensing terms, but
I'm just saying they kind of have themselves pigeonholed a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't foresee another Oddworld game coming from them anytime soon, and I don't know if everybody's going to miss it. I hate to say that, but I don't know. It just seemed like a franchise that is kind of fading to the wayside a little bit. Maybe it can be resurged one day, but I don't know.
It's like serious. It's like Serious Sam. Like who remembers? Who remembers stuff like that? I don't know. I remember. We're old though.
Remembers.
We're getting old. All right, so we're gonna move on to topic number 2. Dang, we spent a lot of time on that topic.
I thought this would be a quick one, Chaz.
So we're gonna move on to something else that's super interesting. I feel like we should. There's not much to this, seeing as how this isn't actually happening yet. So maybe we can blast through this topic. But next, we're gonna touch on the idea of just this past week. There's been a lot of like odd rumors and stuff coming out of Sony and Microsoft. I think both of them are like talking about it almost the exact same times. But yeah, they're both talking about in their free-to-play games wanting to add ads. Yeah, I'll let you kind of start this one off because this is I honestly don't know too much about this one other than this one article. I feel like you said you read other articles.
Oh, I mean, I glanced over a few. Here's the thing: I don't look at this as anything that weird or out of left field. And it's not really all that new of a concept. Like you're looking at one of the pictures too. Like games have had ads in them before. Like I mean, billboards with having logos on them while you're driving around in Burnout or something. They've had stuff like that before. Mm-hmm. So I don't look at that as a huge issue. Like, okay, it's annoying. Of course, I don't want an ad in my game. My biggest thing is right now it looks like their focus is free to play. Now, I guess the fear is, a little bit of slippery slope syndrome where they start adding it to free to play, and next thing you know, it's an Elden Ring. Every sword you pick up has a, McDonald's label on it or something. I don't know. But I don't think it will go that route. I would hope that Microsoft and by extension Sony are aware enough of how this would, frustrate players to no end if they were actually breaking the flow of their gameplay to throw an ad at you. So I don't think we're going down that route. It sounds like it's in the free-to-play realm right now, and and this maybe just come from me personally, I don't play a lot of free-to-play stuff,
me neither.
This won't affect me much, period. Now, when I think about those who do play, it's mostly kids, so it's going to be a lot of kids getting advertised to a lot, but that's nothing new.
They're already being thrown millions of ads a day.
And my nephews aren't going to care about seeing, a Doritos ad on a billboard or during a loading screen, see like a Mountain Dew logo or something pop up. Like, as long as gameplay is not affected, like it doesn't actually pause you mid-game to make you watch a commercial. If it does something like that I think is starting to, maybe tread some uneasy grounds. But if it's pretty passive, which I think it probably will be, I don't think that's as big of a deal. And here's the thing too, it's not just that this is a new thing even in this current gen. Like, haven't sports games been doing this for a long time? One of the 2K games, I think it was like in the middle of like a halftime show, would like literally stop the game and show you like a commercial for something. So they've been toying around ways to get ads in your games for, decades. So I'm just not that worried about this right now. Now, that doesn't mean I won't do an about face if all of a sudden they do start affecting your game quality or your immersion in the game. Like if I'm playing, oh man, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something that I'm looking forward to playing. Nothing's coming to mind.
God of War. If you see a Pepsi can in God of War.
Kratos.
Kratos. Must get Pepsi. Boy, get Pepsi.
No, see, and that would cross, I think, a pretty big line.
Boy.
But if it's free to play, if it's passive, it's whatever. Right now, that's where I'm at. So
Kratos gets up to opens his fridge.
Oh, that'd be funny.
I'm just
Kratos be more of like a Budweiser kind of advertisement.
Maybe. I'm just realizing how little I have to say about this. I kind of agree with you in almost every point. It's
yes.
Ads are nothing new. I feel like the implementation of some of these in many games is not. It's not that new. It's something that they've been doing forever. Again,
here's the thing. I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut you off just because I'm looking at your B-roll screen right now, and I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
several ads. Yeah.
Ads. Like, here's the thing. Ads suck. Okay, but I at least have become very numb to them. Now, I'm not saying that it should justify this many ads, but we live, I think, in a society where we're used to ads, and I think in most places we just filter them out. So if they are not being obtrusive to the content that we're trying to engage with, then whatever. I mean, I can look past an ad.
If anyone wants to reach out, I will literally put an ad in the top corner of our podcast right now.
We already made
we
this
need
very
money.
clear in our past, either was our live stream, whatnot. We will sell out. We
had a whole
are
sellout
losing
episode
integrity by the moment.
on Tiny Tina's. We actually talked about that for like an hour. But
I mean, and I say it just depends on implementation. Like, there are certain websites that rhyme with Flotaku that I go to and I can't stand because of the way they have their ads set up. You scroll down like 5 lines in a paragraph and there's an ad in the middle. Like, but that is then directly affecting the way I am, engaging with this media, and that is when it becomes a problem. So as long as that's not where we get to in a game where I'm in the middle of a Halo match about to get the winning kill and all of a sudden a Doritos commercial pops up, then I'm going to be okay.
I mean, if you're going to do it, I guess hide it well. I mean, I'm thrown off every time I watch an episode of the Halo show and they show like what clearly is like a Chevy Tahoe just dressed up to look like some futuristic car, and it's like, dude, you couldn't dress that up anymore. It's like,
and ads been in movies and TV shows like that forever. Even in Halo Infinite right now, like you have skins from Razer and you could you could buy some cosmetic products.
Those gaming
and you got some colored skins
those
because
gaming
of it.
teams like FaZe and all that, all their color schemes.
Rockstar.
Yeah.
I have a Warthog that's black and gold, which is beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, it's the world we live in. I mean, don't let it distract from your games if you can avoid it. Definitely, hopefully, stand up if it does start actually interfering with the quality of the game or the flow of the game. But, I'm not gonna.
I will say,
I'm not gonna die on this hill.
The only place I cannot stand commercials and ads is YouTube. There's nothing more annoying than watching a video, like, maybe not Scale Up, because he doesn't. I don't think he does that for his videos. But there's nothing more annoying than watching a video and like being enthralled and then cutting away to an ad. And I think that is up to the content creator themselves, because I think they can choose where the ads take place. I'm not sure about that, honestly.
They must to a certain extent, or maybe they just understand the system really well, and my YouTube creator knowledge is lacking here. But
same way, I'm not like a big content creator, so I don't have people reaching out to do that.
Yeah, but a lot of times the ads are just lined up perfectly in their videos. Like, as soon as it gets to, like, a cliffhanger moment, bam, there's a commercial. And I feel like that doesn't bother me so much. I mean, I just do think it's annoying when, like, mid-sentence, all of a sudden you'll have an ad pop up. And if they are directly controlling that, fine. I think that's probably a thing where maybe that particular content creator doesn't know how to manage the ads, at least the placement of them, very well. I don't think it's necessarily malicious.
Yeah, I'm not saying I blame them. System. Yeah, it's just it's super annoying. Like if in game I'm playing as Kratos and fighting a monster, and then it cuts away to Papa John's, like, come on, like that. When that starts happening, it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll be optimistic for now.
Which, by the way, Papa John's, go check out, go get a Papadilla. I don't know, whatever they're advertising right now.
Really looking for those sponsors, huh?
Hey, anything that will help out with the channel, I'm open for it. What were we talking about? Depends on our podcast or our stream the other day.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, I mean, anything else you had to add? I mean, I feel like we're both.
That was a quick one. I'm done.
We're both exactly in the same boat here. So yeah, so we're gonna move on to. Gosh, my notes are all out of whack. But yeah, we're gonna move on to Phoenix's favorite topic of the week that we keep talking about. Let's move over. So we're going to talk about Halo the TV series episode. I guess we don't have to take it on each episode. I mean, well, go in order. You can just talk about whatever you want with episodes 4 and 5. You did get to watch them both, correct? I think you said you did.
I watched them, yes.
Cool. Shoot.
You go first. I had to start the past 2 of these, so.
I don't even know where to start when it comes to talking this show. I guess I'll talk straight about. I felt like episode 4 was kind of boring. I almost don't even want to talk about that one. Episode 5 is.
You got the house, right?
Yeah. Episode 4 kind of delves deeper into what Kai's got going on, into what Master Chief's his origins of how he got into the Spartan program, and then more about the crappy Quan character. You know what? I talked myself into it. I'm going to skip episode 4. Well, no, we kind of have it labeled 4 and 5. I don't know. I'll kind of go straight into 5 first. 5
Hold on. Don't just skip over 4. Yeah, I think this is actually really interesting. You and me take a very opposite, I think, interest in what kind of episodes we like. I liked 4.
Did you? Okay.
Probably more than 5. Like, I like the slow episodes because you get some character building.
See, I
I'm not saying
don't.
I love everything about them. And 5, you're right, it's far more action, and I figured you were going to like that better. So,
Well,
I don't
that's,
know. I
that's
like
Halo. Halo
Well,
is...
liked is a bad word. I don't know if I like the show, but I preferred 4.
I don't know. There's just so many, like... I feel like my biggest problem with this show is, we've mentioned it before, but the writing. And it's funny because, again, I've watched tons of Red Letter Media videos on all the Star Trek stuff, and they say the exact same things about those shows. The writing is so poor, and they're not very thorough. It's not really like... It's labeled sci-fi, but it's not like deep sci-fi. It's not like
Very surface
intelligent sci-fi. It's just sci-fi. You know what I mean? And those guys have said it so many times for Picard and Discovery, where it's like, you're writing sci-fi, but it's not like when you play Mass Effect, when, like, you know, whenever we play Mass Effect, like, there's all this lore, there's all this codex entries for, like, every little thing, and it's just like, I don't feel like that's intelligently done in this show. Like, something...
Oh, okay. To be fair, it's hard to compare the writing in a, 40 hour
video game. Yeah.
to a, hour-long show, if that. Now, I don't disagree with the idea, though, that they don't do enough, like, writing to do some good world building. I think that's kind of what you're getting at. This game is kind of weird. This show. Because they want, I think, and I could be very wrong on this, it's like they expect you to be a big enough Halo fan that you can bring in your appreciation of the lore and the world building that you already have into this show, so they don't have to do that work for you. Like, they're like, okay, so you already know about Halo, you already know about Cortana, you know these things, so this is all we're going to give you. So they go really surface level on that kind of stuff. But then they'll turn around, basically ignore key parts of lore, change it completely. It's kind of like they want their cake and eat it too kind of thing, right? So they won't do, I think, enough of their own world building. Like, sometimes they will, like, or they'll, I don't know. It's hard with a show, especially this early on, because you don't know if they're going to go back and elaborate at some point or try to beef it up. But with the Cortana program, that was pretty light, I think. Granted, they are trying to explain it more. I don't know. I go back and forth on the show, Chaz. Oh, man. But I agree with your general statement of the writing is hit or miss, I'll just say the least.
And I guess I'll just touch on a few things from episode 4 that I just thought were bad. Again, talking about kind of the bad sci-fi, like, seeing Chief land on the planet Eridanus 2, like, to find the stuff that he has that's buried underground, he uses a shovel. It's like, all the technology in the future and you guys are using shovels?
It's really funny because right before that moment, he's like, okay, let's dig. Immediately when we said them, like, he's not going to use a shovel. He's got some interesting, weird Halo sci-fi way to dig.
No, he gets a shovel.
And then it cuts to the next scene, he's just like, don't.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like these guys are like, this is like hundreds of years in the future. You know, it's just like,
I don't know what, like, I figured they could, like, scan the ground, and they could see
they don't have...
under the earth, and, they'd have this tool that would, excavate it from the ground. I don't know. It was an odd moment. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's like, you don't have item finders, you don't have metal detectors, like...
Well, what's funny, too, is, it's probably multiple games, but things like ODST, I know you could do, like, that HUD view where you could, like, basically see through walls and outlines.
Oh, that's so cool.
Of
I love that when they do that, yeah.
So you don't think, and this is close to that time, well, I guess it's earlier than that, but still, you gotta think they have some kind of preliminary version of that technology at the very least, where he could have his helmet on, which, put your darn helmet on, for one. But
is that the episode where he puts it on and then takes it off 10 seconds later?
Yeah, he puts it on to get out of the ship to go onto the planet, and then gets onto the planet and takes it right back off.
Oh, I have
But
it
either way,
on
yeah,
my notes. Yeah.
yeah, he should have that scanning technology in his HUD, so he could look down, he could see something's buried X amount of feet under there. Like, no, that was very weak and kind of a contrived moment.
I also, in my notes for that same scene, not only is it annoying, but it's very stupid considering that planet has been quarantined for like everyone dying apparently from some virus. Why would you have your helmet off if you're on like a formerly quarantined planet? It makes no sense.
Because this show does not trust us to connect with Master Chief if you can't see his face. Even when I know I'm jumping ahead to episode 5, but even now when he's in his suit, they're still showing you his face underneath it.
Yeah.
Like, they can't trust for this guy to emote. And here's the thing, I don't think it's the actor's fault. Like, I am slowly coming around to this actor. Like, I don't necessarily love him yet, but I don't think he's doing a bad job with what he has. And I feel like he could probably make the, Mandalorian style never take the helmet thing probably work for Master Chief.
All right, we get it. You want to see him as Wolverine? We get it.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know. This is, and I'm just gonna kind of give a general opinion here on the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
I have gotten to the point where I don't really dislike this show. There's parts of it I kind of like. I'm not sure if I like him from a Halo perspective. I like this kind of just like a general sci-fi show. Now, is the writing great? No, but I like just watching kind of a C-level sci-fi show sometimes, and just has some interesting little beats and some cool moments, and I'm okay with that. And this show is starting to kind of fall into that category for me. What makes it so hard is just the fact that it's wearing this Halo skin, and specifically the Master Chief skin. Like, I think I would be probably mostly amicable towards this show if it wasn't about Chief.
Would you like it more if it was just called like Reach, and maybe there was no Chief, and it followed like some other Spartan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what they call it. I mean, they can even probably still call it Halo and not be about Master Chief right now. I mean, I just wish it... I don't know. My biggest thing is I don't feel like this Chief is Chief. And I've said that before. It's not that I don't like the character stuff they're doing with this character. I don't want to call him Chief anymore. Just this Spartan. I'll leave it at that. I don't think he's being acted poorly. Like, all of that I think is mostly fine. If this was just some other Spartan going through this identity crisis and figuring out what happened to him, I'd be fine with that. I'd be okay with the emotional moments and all of that, like as far as him, losing his cool. But the fact that this is the Master Chief, and I'm not even... Here's the thing. Maybe I've come across this way in our past conversations. I am not some big Halo nerd. I have played the games.
Me neither.
The mainline ones, and that's really it. I don't read the books. I don't dig into every, audio log or whatever the, lore elements are inside of all the games. I just like Halo passingly.
We're on that same boat, pretty much.
Yeah. But I've played all the games, and I've got a good feel for how Master Chief is portrayed in the games. He's this very just kind of... I don't want to say solemn, but he's a very cool, even-keeled soldier. He has his moments where I think personality shines through. Like, it's not like he has no personality. He tells jokes. He interacts with people, but he never gets emotional. He always seems like things are relatively well planned out.
He never wants to fly through the air and punch someone to death.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that... Here's the thing, too. Like, if this wasn't Master Chief, I don't feel like that would be some outrageous response. Like, if this was just some soldier, took out his personality chip or whatever, and found this out, he'd probably be pissed and want to punch her in the face.
I thought it was so funny seeing him like, trying to punch someone out. I don't know.
It was, but I could at least... Here's the thing, I get it. I get where they're going with that reaction. That just should never be Chief's reaction. Like, someone who's acting like that, I don't think can ever become the Chief from our, the line of games that we know. And assuming that this show is going to want to move forward into those, moments from the games, I'm assuming because this show is called Halo, they're going to get to a Halo at some point, right? And then you're really lining up with actual moments from the game. So maybe this is just going to stay completely, off in left field and never really match up with those moments, but I feel like it's just going to be some weird just uncanny valley the entire time going through as they go through whatever the events of Halo 1 are and Halo 2. It's just never going to feel right.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what I'm so nervous about. Like, right now, it's so early on, I'm open-ish to it.
Well, it really
Go
sucks
ahead,
because I feel like they could do the opposite of what you're saying, where they could do something that feels Halo, looks Halo, because they have the enemies down, look awesome. I actually kind of like the costumes. They're a bit funky, but I can deal with that. You know, they have some of the voice act. They have Cortana. Like, they're doing everything where, in my opinion, they should be able to do that, but they're just not. I don't know. Again, yeah. But what were you saying? Sorry, I feel like I cut you off.
No, I was ranting. I'm sorry. This show just makes me feel so many different things for so many different reasons. I think it's because, like, I don't dislike the show. Like, I'm slowly starting to, I've watched enough of it now. I'm pseudo invested in where it's going to go.
Any show, though. Once you watch enough of it, you kind of have to. You get intrigued.
Got low spots in the story, but I think in general, most of the acting is relatively good, and I think that helps. The writing is a little meh, but the acting, I think, is pretty solid. I do like what they're doing with the Kai character.
I like Kai. I wrote that on my notes. She's might be one of my favorite characters in the show.
And what I like about it is because I'm coming at her as a blank slate. Like, I don't know if she's a character in the games or lore or not. Maybe she is, maybe she's not. But she's not someone iconic like Master Chief. So they can do a lot more with her. She's not going to affect my interpretation of the lore moving forward. And they can really dig into her psyche and her stance on things.
Like you were saying, because she's kind of a blank slate, not only that, but I feel like she's the best representation of a video game character, where she's asking questions that a video game person playing a game would ask. Like, when that whole scene she has where she's talking to the Spartan, and she's like, do you ever I don't remember what she says exactly. She says, do you ever ask questions?
Why?
Do you ever ask why? And he's like, no. And she's like, do you ever ask why you don't ask why? And he's like, you know what I mean? Like, those are questions that someone playing a game or a TV show would, like, legitimately think about,
And I do like this angle, because here's the thing, like, and this is, I'm pretty sure, fairly canonical as far as the games go. The UNSC was not always good. I mean, they look good in, the context of fighting off the Covenant, but they're this big military organization that kind of does what they want when they want and kind of have, overbearing force. So they do have that negative connotation from the back of the lore, and that's being portrayed here. Halsey is just a really researched, focused kind of, I don't know, I don't want to use any inappropriate terms for her, but I mean, I think she's mostly fitting to how she would be in the books and the lore as well.
Someone who has an agenda with almost anything they're doing. It makes sense. Like, she's not the problem I have, really.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at, I'm probably, talking around myself here at this point, but I like how they're digging into that story, really, about early UNSC, how they weren't, looked at so fondly, and some of the, scandal and controversy and stuff kind of going on behind the scenes. That's interesting. And I understand that Chief would have been wrapped up in that too. I just don't like the responses they're making this Chief have. And that's what takes me out of this whole thing, unfortunately.
Well, I guess I'll just, real quick, I want to wrap up episode 4. There was just, like, little couple points. I still feel like the character Quan and her side plot is dragging the show down even further than...
Yeah.
Like, that. Anytime it cuts away to that Madrigal stuff, I could really care less about what's happening. Like, that's literally my moment to, like, look away and do something. But I feel like, again, I have it in my notes, Quan, she does the absolute most possible to draw attention to herself. The scene where she's at the funeral for her dad, and she's just like, no, you're all bad. We need to fight back. And all these people, it's just like, she's a horrifically bad written character. I have nothing against the actor. The writing for her is just terrible. And that whole side plot, it's like, what does that plot have to do with Halo? Like, even if that character goes on to bring back the Resistance and make everything good on her side, how does any of that benefit the Master Chief's war against the Covenant? It doesn't. a resistance group on some desert planet is not going to help Master Chief, or it shouldn't. How? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure they will conveniently and possibly contrivedly tie that all together somehow. Like,
Am I
it
wrong
probably will
though?
be.
Is there any
I mean,
way that?
I don't disagree. I agree that is the weakest part and the slowest part. And here's the I like
I
what's
like
his face?
Soren. He's a cool
Soren, yeah.
character.
So I am glad they at least paired her up with him. He helped, but I mean, you're right. This is the low part of the show. But I'm sure it's probably going to end up with her somehow taking over the resistance, and them helping Chief. In a
How?
moment when he's
In the
trapped
games,
down.
there is no resistance. There is no like.
Well, here's the thing. This is
Alex.
happening at an interesting moment. It's like right before the Fall of Reach. So, I mean, granted, I haven't read a lot of the books, as I mentioned, but this is kind of a blind spot for me in Halo history. So, who's to say there isn't a resistance? Like, I mean, it's arguable that could be the case. So, I'm not going to say that's not feasible. I don't know how it's going to tie into Chief's overarching, narrative. I just don't know.
The only two ways that the resistance should its plot should go is they either end up joining the UNSC and becoming part of the UNSC, or they all die off. I don't see a way that they could continue on with that side plot. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I don't know.
Well, I guess one last thing I just wanted to mention for episode 4. I found it really dumb that Miranda, if she even says it herself, but like, I find it so incredibly stupid that they're just now thinking about learning the Covenant language. It's just like, dude, you this whole time that the all these scientist teams and Halsey, this whole time now someone has the idea of looking into the language of the Covenant and the elites. It's like that should have been something you guys looked into a long time ago.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And one more thing I had for episode 4. That Madrigal villain sucks. He's a horrible character. I didn't enjoy seeing his rear end in the hot tub. It's just like stupid.
Yeah, I don't have a lot invested in that. I mean, the same as you. Like, I don't care a huge amount about Quan. I don't really care about her story arc too much, and that means anything associated with her right now is just kind of falling by the wayside. So, no.
Oh, and I guess I did. There was one thing I guess I wanted to mention. Soren brought up the idea that he killed his dad or something, and that whole aspect raised questions. It's like, so did that happen before he joined the Spartan program? If so, how was he able to join the Spartan program with murder on his resume? I mean, I don't know.
Think they would have cared. Like,
maybe not, because maybe they kidnapped him when they were kids.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're just picking up kids that could be viable. I don't think they had much of a resume check when they were picking them up. I mean, they probably looked into some more than others, but they were just wanting test subjects. It looks like, which, that's an
probably
interesting
part of the
story
lore.
to look into.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I don't think what they're doing is like non-canonical. Like, I think, at least from that standpoint, I am pretty sure that yes, I think it was one of the either Halo movies or Halo games. Where one of the Spartans was talking to Halsey and was like, so you can conscribe kids when they were, super young and turn them into Spartans. So they actually, formally, made note of it. So, I don't know. It's in the lore. I think it is an interesting thing, but I don't know. I don't like how they're playing it out with Chief.
Yeah, alright, so I'll go ahead and move us on to episode 5, where we can just talk about that now. Sheesh, where to start? I mean, the whole scene just is kind of weird. I have it in my notes. Why would you ask Halsey what she thinks of the school just as one of your students almost falls to their death? It's just like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny.
It's a normal day at school. I mean, have you been to public school lately, Chaz? I mean, that's just, kids are flying off walls.
Why would you have your students climbing trees? They were like climbing... I guess it may... I didn't think about it. Maybe it would make sense. No. I was thinking maybe that would make sense if that was like a training facility made just for Spartan program students, but no, that was just their school.
Yeah, they're like what, agriculturalists or something, so
yeah.
A little weird, but whatever.
But yeah, just a couple notes I guess I had. Still dislike Chief. He's kind of a jerk, and I don't know. Same goes for Quan. And I actually had, like you said earlier, I really like the Kai character. I think she's honestly one of the more interesting characters I like in the show. She has what seems to be an actual arc happening, and I don't know. You kind of mentioned that, so I don't know if you have anything more to say.
I agree. I don't know if I have anything else to add. I mean, they're doing with her what I wish they would be. Well, no. Well, I don't know. I just wish Chief wasn't here. I guess is my whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like those kind of story beats they're doing with him. And honestly, I would probably like what they're doing with the guy playing Chief if he wasn't Chief. If he was just some other Spartan. But I think with Kai, it's a little more accepting just because it is definitely not Chief. Like, this is just some other Spartan as a blank slate. We can, I think, be a lot more open to it. I think
Maybe she should have been the main character.
Maybe. I think that's where the show has really just, I don't know, I think missed the mark is there's a lot, okay, how do I want to say this? There are a lot of places that they could have chosen to adapt, and I probably would have been okay with. Chief is like one of those things that you can't do too much to, I don't feel like, without really changing the feel of Halo. And they did, like, immediately just started tweaking him until he doesn't even resemble the Chief from the games. I know I'm sounding like a broken record because I've said this now every time we talk about this game, but all these other changes they're making, I'd be okay with. Whether the Kai thing is canonical or not, I don't care. I think it's interesting. It doesn't affect what's going on, so that's neat. But every time they make Chief do something weird, like start screaming at an alien through his helmet, like, I'm just like, come on.
Maybe it could have been a really cool thing. I was just thinking for them to do is if the Kai character or maybe another like high-ranking Spartan was the main character, and Chief was like this character that like you rarely got to see, but like every now and then you would hear about his feats or hear about his goings-ons like in the background or on the news stations, or this Spartan constantly hears about what he's doing, and like maybe it could have been cool kind of hearing about him, and then maybe at some point I don't know. Again, we've mentioned it before, but like part of the cool thing about the Chief is that you don't know what he looks like. All you ever see is him in his suit. So maybe
larger than life, like legend in like the lore. Like they've broken him down so much, and I think for the cause of trying to humanize him, that they've taken away the stuff that made Chief. His, his his calm mind, his kind of strategic, flow as he goes through like the battlefield. Like you see some of that, but a lot of it's just been broken down, and I don't know. You lost that larger than life feel that Chief used to have.
Yeah. I guess just kind of blasting through a few more notes I had for this episode. This show's still doing some of the super basic TV show drama stuff I find so annoying. The whole Keyes telling his daughter Miranda why she's off the project, but then still refusing to let her know why she's off the project. It's like, dude, that's your daughter. Just tell her why she's off the project. Like, they just have to scrap up drama any way they can, I guess.
You're right. Let's just contrive TV, nonsense.
She's a part of your inner circle of military people, and also she's your daughter. It's like, she should be the easiest one to tell what's going on. Like, I don't know. I don't like this Keyes. I don't mind the Miranda character, actually. I think that might actually be one of my more favorite characters, like Kai. But the Keyes, he's kind of douche, and he just doesn't tell anybody anything, and I don't know. I don't like him. I guess we'll move on to the super punch, to the Falcon punch. I honestly feel like that was maybe the most un-Chief thing the show has done so far. It was just so off-putting seeing a character like the Master Chief. Well, this isn't Chief. I need to stop saying that. That certainly didn't seem becoming of the Master Chief attempting to Superman punch a human character.
Yeah. No, and I already said it. Like, I understand the emotion behind it. Like, if I was in that boat, I'd be pissed, and I'd probably want to, clock her. No, oh man, I should not say that. I'm sorry. I'm not clocking anybody. But you know what I'm saying. Like, I
Yeah.
understand the emotion behind that action. Just the fact that it's coming from Chief.
But the Chief seems like he seems like the kind of character that would still, like, even though he dislikes Halsey, he very much needs her for this battle. That he needs all of her intelligence. She is like, whether she's evil or not, her technology and her like knowledge is what has gotten the UNSC, is what's going to help them in their battle with the Covenant. I would think that's something the Chief would very much constantly think about, you know?
I agree, and that's the thing. Like, Spartans, and especially Chief, are not dumb. Like, they even made like a dumb joke about him in the most recent episode too. Like, there's not much going on up there. But I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. Like, the whole point is these guys are trained not just physically but strategically, like mentally. Like, they have a high intelligence. So you're right. For him to make a brash decision like that seems just very out of place.
If he would have punched her and killed her, their battle with the Covenant would be over. Like, Chief's smart, but he needs Halsey. Like, without Halsey, there is no Spartan program. It's like, I don't know. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's pretty much all I was gonna say.
Again, bad writing. Like, it's something that drums up drama, and I don't mind.
It's that picking and choosing of the lore again. Like, so they expect you to have all this reverence about Spartans because if you play the games, you know how smart they are and how strong they are and how blah blah blah. But then moments like this, they want all that to fly out the window so they can have their little character moment where they show that Chief is emotional and is angry too. Like,
and speaking of that, like you were saying, they're picking and choosing the whole like Soren getting surprised by Quan in the desert. It's like, really, Soren, former Spartan, didn't see that coming? You just let someone get the jump on him and knock him out like some human character? I don't know. But yeah, I guess we'll kind of move on to the most important part of this episode. The thing everyone was kind of talking about throughout the week is we finally got some Halo action. What did you kind of think? Did you enjoy it? Did you get even an ounce of Halo joy out of it?
Yeah, no, I liked it. I mean, I know I was saying earlier that I like the slower episodes. That doesn't mean I don't like the action episodes. I appreciate when they try to do some character building, even if it's weird. But I liked the action. I thought it looked pretty good. I thought, like the grunts looked good. What are the jackals? They look pretty good. Like,
yeah.
I feel like most of, from an aesthetic standpoint,
Copyright.
it looked good. The characters moved well. It was visceral. I think you were saying that you thought some of the weapons were a little cheesy. I thought when the needler spikes hit the one dude on the warthog, and he just
cool.
moved and missed. I was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I will say this game, not game. I keep saying that. This show surprises me with how brutal it goes, but it makes sense. I mean, it is.
Look at this
war.
This your Chief?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I guess here's my thing too. I'm going to say one more thing about this. So like, this is Chief basically off his meds, right? He's off his chip. So how does this end? Do you think they put the chip back in him, or
no,
does he?
They're not going to do that.
So, man, that's almost harder. Like, how does he become Chief again? Like, once again, I know they're not going this route, but I'm still holding out hope that this Chief becomes my Chief some point. How does he ever get that cool level head back? Like, without them putting that, personality chip back in him, whatever that thing was, I don't think his emotions are just going to disappear and he's all of a sudden going to be just cool with everything. Like, this guy's clearly unhinged.
It was annoying see him judge Kai, too, for doing the same thing he did. And I know they kind of, like, Kai kind of said something and the Cortana kind of backed her up, so they kind of made it seem as though, Master Chief is in the wrong here. But it's like, no, but still, like, you can answer it. You can answer his douchiness all you want, but like, he still was a douche in that moment, like, and that is something Chief still wouldn't have done. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a very human thing to do. Was it a very Chief thing to do? I don't know. So
there were a couple moments I liked from the battle still. I kind of liked his line where he says, "I know how the game is played, Cortana." That's kind of corny, but I don't know. It didn't bother me.
Cute. Yeah.
And also, I will say, the one thing that did bother me about the battle is, why does Chief have to have he had a quip for after doing everything? It's like that's not, when you play the games, Chief doesn't after killing every single thing say something. Can
I ride this, or can I have a ride?
Yeah. It's just dude, he didn't need to say that. I don't need Chief to have a quip after he does anything cool,
Yeah.
I guess just the last thing I'll say is just it, at least for me, had a glimpse of Chief being heroic. Chief going out of his way to try and protect Kai, even though I guess maybe it doesn't make sense because he was kind of deserted his main mission, but I don't know, that felt heroic, at least in a way. How did you feel?
So and you're not the only person I think has mentioned this, that he felt more heroic here, and maybe I'm wrong on this. I have never really looked at Master Chief like a hero, at least not in the traditional sense. I have always looked at him like a soldier who's doing his duty, and don't get me wrong, that is a heroic thing. But if I think back to the games, you don't see him very often just sacrifice himself to save somebody or something like that.
There definitely were missions, though, in the original games where he had specific missions of saving people,
But were they orders, or was it him going out of his way to save them for his own volition?
Ooh, that's an interesting. They may have been orders. I didn't think about that.
That's my thing. He rescued a lot of people. Did he go out and save them? I think about it even in Halo Infinite, with the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
That pilot was like, "Hey, we need to get out of here. I need help. I need to do this." And Chief's like, "I don't care about you. I have a mission." Mm-hmm. He just completely blew off the guy. To be fair, he did save him later, but it was after a lot of time of, I don't know.
Because I was just thinking of the mission I remember for saving.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm dying over here.
The one mission I remember about him saving people was in the very first game. I remember when you first get on the ring, there's one mission towards the end of his first main mission on the ring. Because I remember there's all these pillars, and you had to wait for pelicans to drop one by one and pick up all these soldiers. But I do think maybe those were Cortana. Maybe she was Chief, we need to save these soldiers. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that Chief doesn't do heroic things or can't be a hero. I'm not sure how much of that is a character trait, though, if that makes sense. He is very duty bound, which is part of the whole Spartan training thing. He does what he's told to do. So the moments when he doesn't follow that is when it's most impactful. When he doesn't, destroy Cortana in the games when he should, stuff like that.
And maybe in the oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What are you saying?
I was just gonna say, maybe in the last few Halo games, it feels like he's allowed to be more heroic because the UNSC is dismantled. So he's basically not taking orders from. If you think about it, Infinite, there is no UNSC. It's just Chief doing his best to save the galaxy.
No, there's a UNSC. That's all the forward operating bases he's setting up.
Yeah, but he doesn't have anyone giving him directions other than the Cortana thing.
Yeah, but it was coming right off of when what was it? The pillar of whatever just blew up. The UNSC is still a thing. They are, broken at that point, but it's not like the UNSC is dissolved in that universe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. As far as I know, there's still a structure there. There might be some lines of communication that are down, but he still has people above him that I think would give him orders if need be. I don't know. I'm probably going off on a point now that probably doesn't have a whole lot of bearing on this show, but I just thought it was interesting that we're looking at Chief to have these heroic moments, but honestly, that's not a character trait I'm looking for in Chief. That's one of the things that I think doesn't help make him more like Chief. I mean, it does make him more human, I suppose, because when he cares about his teammate. And I'm not saying he wouldn't do something like that, but I don't know if the Chief from... I don't know, that's what I'm trying to think. The Chief from the games that I know, would he have jumped off and saved Kai? Or would he have gotten that artifact there first? I think the Chief from the games would have done both. he only would have sacrificed the artifact, or he only would have went to go save Kai if Yuri had a plan to get that artifact over there. Because I feel like he would have focused on the objective first.
That's fair enough. I agree with you. The chief in the games probably would have tried to do both.
Not that he didn't try to do both here, but he didn't have a solid plan to make that artifact, get where it needs to be. It looks like he kind of just abandoned that and then tried to clean up when it was done.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, Chief from all the games is always about, finishing the mission, finishing the fight. Like, that was his... And that his Spartan team, like, any members he had up to that point going to those original trilogy, they had died, or they had left, or he had to abandon them. I don't know why, but I know he had, like, a blue team or something in the books.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Actually,
I'm
that's
going
true.
off
A lot of his fellow Spartans died, are dead. There are many of them.
And, like, even going through Infinite, you find all these bodies of dead Spartans.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't seem too broken up about it. Like, I don't know.
He does. I mean, he has sad moments where he's like, very, very much soldiery.
I guess. I don't know. And once again, we're comparing two different chiefs now. I guess I just still keep wondering, okay, how does this chief get to the chief in Halo Infinite? How does he evolve to that? Or how does he evolve to even the chief in Halo 1, which is not that far around the corner from where this show is at. Like, this show is leading up to... I mean, they're almost acting like they're going to lead up to the first Halo, which that's going to be weird because the Fall of Reach should happen before that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it will coincide somehow.
Well, because Reach is still standing, so yeah, they kind of have to.
I mean, I believe, and I could be wrong on my lore here, I think, like, at the Fall of Reach, that's when they shoot off Master Chief in the pillar, and it's supposed to take, like, a random jump somewhere, and then based upon information Cortana has, she pops him up right in front of the ring. So she changes from a random jump to ending up at the Halo. So maybe that's still how this will end, but if that's the case, we're not that far off from that happening. I mean, even if it's a year in showtime, I don't see how this chief gets to that chief that launches onto that first Halo.
No.
At least not from the chief I know. And I'm going to have a hard time seeing this chief go through the motions of the first Halo game.
Mm-hmm. Well, fair enough. I guess my last thought would just be it was kind of cool seeing a Brood at the end. It looked really cool.
Yeah.
CG looked kind of similar to like maybe one of the games or like Infinite. That's pretty neat. Seeing a Brood. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And honestly, I don't think the CG in the show looks bad most of the time.
Most of the time.
Some of the animations of the CG can look a little wonky, but the actual models and like how they kind of play out on screen usually look pretty good.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to push us on. We're at an hour 38, so we got our final topic. This is going to be... I feel like we're not going to spend as much time on this either, because there's not really much to take away. But, yeah, so let me switch over. I
felt like we've become just a Halo podcast, Chaz.
Well, I mean... Is that a problem? I mean, it's like one of our favorite games. I mean... Mass Effect. We're very much like I feel like me and you very much like sci-fi stuff.
We do. Honestly, though, I don't put Halo in my top games. I'll be honest. Like, I like Halos. I get into them when they come out. I think it's just kind of timely for when we started this podcast. There's a lot of Halo stuff going on. I enjoy Halo, but it's not my top games. Just I'll throw that out there.
Now that you mentioned it, you did mention something about a topic I'm doing next week, talking about our favorite games. That actually reminds me, for that, we're thinking about doing a topic like that for next week, because I saw a Kotaku article talking about favorite GameCube games. If you guys could, down in the comments, let us know how you would want us to maybe approach topics like that. Would you want on wholesale what our favorite games are, or would you rather us maybe tackle it console by console, or I don't know, because Phoenix kind of mentioned how did you say you wanted it? You said you might want to do it console by console.
I don't know if I have a huge preference. I mean, console by console might drag this out forever, so I don't know if anybody wants to go through that, or maybe they are interested just base by base. But
I feel like that might be more fun to do.
Maybe.
Maybe like you said, not top 10, but we can choose handful. I
really don't want to stretch it out forever.
And we both don't have to come up with our separate list. We can kind of both. Maybe it might be fun for us to grab a handful of games ourselves and kind of argue with each other as to where we think we should fit them in the top 5,
We want to do it. If there is anybody listening who has a suggestion, let us know. I'm sure there aren't many of you, so if you do leave a comment, you'll probably be the one who dictates how we proceed forward. So
I kind of like it console by console, so I think that'll be fun.
Okay.
Did you want to start with GameCube or like that article, or did you want to go with something else?
Let me think about it. I'm not sure if I don't know if we want to start with GameCube then. I mean, do we want to go chronologically or do we want to go by like system? I don't know. Let me think about it.
Yeah, well, we got a couple days. We don't have to like rush into it. That was just a possible topic to bring up. But let me switch back over. So our final topic of the day. Shoot! I already forgot. Oh yeah. So we're gonna go into was it today or yesterday? I don't know. They just Halo Infinite kind of just in a blog post talked about their roadmap as for season 2. Let me get to my notes. Where are we at? So I guess we'll kind of tackle it, I don't know, topic by topic, or maybe we'll pull up this right here. So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different things that they kind of talked about. They said they were shooting for late August target for campaign co-op, which that still seems like a ways away. That actually seems like that's towards the latter end of the season, which still kind of sucks. Or I guess no. It's kind of in the middle of it, I guess, yeah.
I think that's the big issue, though, is how long these seasons are. So,
and it's not split screen. It's like, that's not split
online.
Screen. Online, yeah. Split screen is like, I believe that's going to be separate.
I think that's my, just in general, biggest issue with the way they've done these seasons. Like, for a seasonal approach to something like this to work, your seasons have to be pretty brisk, right? You have to, couple of months, you have a season, do a thing, and then you move on, and you keep. That's the only way you really make a free-to-play game, I think, relevant. Mm-hmm. This first season, I think people gave them, a big pass because they could tell they were already kind of, behind a little bit, trying to get caught up. They weren't quite ready. It sounds like to release the game in the first place, so they let everybody get by with this big, long, 6 months first season? I thought the intent, I don't know if I read this somewhere or it was just an assumption. Maybe it was just an assumption I heard reading through some forums, but that season 2 was going to be a lot shorter. So maybe instead of 6 months, it'd be like half of that, 3 months, something like that. Well, looking at this timeline, May 3rd to November 7th, that's another, 6 months. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't give me a lot of hope for these seasons. So you get 2 seasons a year. And they're not giving you much in these seasons. Like, season 1, we didn't get a whole lot, right? We had the base game, which, was fine for what the base game was. And then, what do we get? So a couple events, the Tenrai thing and whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I'll let you kind of run through if you want. Like, what are some of the new things they have listed for this new season?
So a couple things. Campaign co-op again. They're going to have Forge. They said they think it's going to be arriving now. They think it's going to be...
That's a beta of it. That's not even...
That's what I'm saying, is they think the beta will be out sometime in Season 2, but they're looking at more of a Season 3 release for Forge.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's going to happen.
No. Let's see, they got 3 new game modes, which you can see here. They've got King of the Hill, Land Grab. I think I heard Land Grab can be closely... it's close to something like Control, which I actually think I heard that from Destin, so maybe he was talking about Destiny's Control for Land Grab. And then lastly, they have Last Spartan Standing, which is their Battle Royale-like, which everyone's been talking about right now. That's actually interesting that they are doing something like that, because not that long ago, before the game launched, people were pressing, the developers about Halo possibly going BR. And I remember the developer saying, we have no Battle Royale. The only BR we're looking ahead towards is Battle Rifle. I remember that specific quote from the developer. So they're clearly kind of contradicting themselves there. I believe they said they began development of these game modes in like 2020 or something like that. I think I read. Like late 2020. Let's see what else we got. We have 2 new maps. We can see here we have one called Catalyst, which is one that's made for Arena. And then we have one called Breaker, which is made for Big Team Battle. Let's see what else. We got Replay Campaign missions, but that seems to be coming like later in August. So again, that's not... That seems so basic. Am I wrong? Like,
That should have been their launch. Like seriously.
yeah. Let's see what else we got. I guess one of the more another thing is that, of course, this season 2 will include a new, fresh 100 tier battle pass. Yay! We have to do that again, or we don't have to. And then say that again.
I said I don't plan on it.
Yeah. And I guess kind of the last thing, maybe the most interesting thing, I think, is with this Lone Wolf season that they have, I guess they're planning on periodically implementing some sort of narrative-based events, which they claim will, by quote, is help add an interactive context and depth to the events of the season. While there isn't a lot currently known to what these upcoming narrative events will entail, the first will be called Interference, lasting from May 3rd to May 16th, and the second is called Alpha Pack, lasting from July 19th to August 1st. So I guess that's kind of basically everything. Oh, I guess I was reading off my notes, but they kind of have it here, yeah. And I guess they have a whole new breadth of gear and equipment stuff slated. But yeah, I guess also on the right here you have new stuff, but
that's for season 3 over there on the right.
Oh, is that for season? Oh, okay. I didn't even see that. New narrative events. Yeah.
It's just basically saying, hey, everything we do in season 2, we'll do it again in season 3.
Oh, see, they even said it. Yeah, split screen. That's coming season 3 then. Fantastic. Shoot, man. I mean, I guess I'll let you go first. I guess my main question, the only real important one, is any of this news enough to get you to come back to play anything within season 2?
No.
No.
I mean, oh man, it's no. Like I'm looking at like the stuff that's here. 2 maps is ridiculous. Like I feel like especially if they're gonna take so long on these seasons, the least they could do is pop out more maps during the season. Like even if they're not all at the same time, like the season pops, maybe they don't drop all 6 new maps. They just give you 2 initially, and then every 2 months you get a couple of new maps. That would help immensely. And I feel like when they used to have just like multiplayer map packs back in the day, you'd get like 5 or 6 new maps sometimes. Like I mean, I know everything nowadays is so much more expensive, it's so much harder, etc., etc. Like I get that, and I'm not trying to downplay any of the work the developers are putting into it, but come on, a map can't be that bad. Even if it's not the best map in the world, just give me somewhere new to play. I mean, these new game modes might help. I mean, King of the Hills, classic land grab sounds cool. Last Spartan Standing, I'm curious to see if that really plays out to be a true battle royale. I don't think it will. I don't know.
I read somewhere that they're actually working on another, like this is like a placeholder battle royale game, and they're working on like a more in-depth one, which I think I read.
I guess the reason I say that is I'm thinking about network load and kind of how this game is set up right now. Like they're already having all these really weird, if they can't get things like split screen co-op, not split screen, but like campaign co-op and stuff to work online. They had issues with like big team battle. Like imagine them having a larger scale battle royale with 100 some odd players in it. Like I don't know if this game could handle it right now. I mean, maybe I'm not looking through network code, so I certainly don't know, and I might be comparing apples to oranges with some of this stuff. But I don't know. I imagine if anything, it will be kind of I think it's just gonna be like a small scale battle royale, if anything. But I don't know. I don't think it's gonna necessarily be the battle royale people are thinking of. As you're saying, maybe it's just kind of a placeholder so they can test it out and see how it goes. But for me, that's not gonna bring me back. I've never been too huge in the battle royale games. I don't think this is going to compete with something like Fortnite or anything like that, so I don't necessarily think they're going to steal that crowd away. The narrative events, I mean, definitely it's a wait and see kind of thing, but I don't know. I think about
wait and see, because Skill Up will talk about any of it. I'm sure he'll check it out.
I guess the comparison I make for maybe something like this is if I go comparison with Destiny, think about something like Iron Banner. They have a little bit of narrative to kind of explain what the multiplayer event is like, but then it still is just multiplayer matches. Like it's not like there's some big enormous narrative. Like that's kind of what I expect from these narrative events.
Hate to say it, I'd probably be more interested to go back to Destiny than Halo at this point.
Well,
I'm not going to, but
yeah, and I'm not saying that comparison to say that that's what you should or should not do. I guess my point is just being that I'm not expecting these to be substantial narrative things like story arcs or anything like that, or so super, super minimal. Because they're really just going to be here as a way to, add some context to whatever, the multiplayer maps of the time are or events that are going on. I don't. This is all just too little, too late, in my opinion. Like I have fallen off multiplayer completely now, as I know many have. It's not that I think the multiplayer was bad. It's just they needed content long ago. Will I hop back into this at some point? Maybe. I might hop back in for campaign co-op, but I don't even know now. I feel so far removed from the game. Unless you're just dying to run through and play it, or someone else I know on my friends list, I'm
not
probably gonna pass this by.
Well, I think it's safe to say this might be maybe this will be the last time we talk about Halo Infinite for a very long time, if this is all that they've got going on.
I mean, I think if they ever put out some like real story DLC,
something meaty,
sure. But like as far as like how they're drip feeding the multiplayer side of things, this is just not going to work. I heard too they're also removing. You remember that scorpion gun glitch I told you about, where you could like get the super gun and basically blow up everything with your invisible cannon?
Yeah, I saw that they're they're
taking it out.
No, I thought they were double dipping on it, because isn't it?
They announced they are removing that. It was an unintended glitch, even though the way it's placed in the game seems a little more.
Isn't that
intended.
The lasso?
Well, no, lasso is a thing, but people were using it to make lasso easy. That's what I did.
Oh, because I read they were double dipping on whatever lasso run is. That's all I saw. I didn't actually read the article.
Well, I don't know. I think what's annoying is like they're drip feeding content. They're taking away a fun component of the campaign that people were actually still getting some joy out of, and then just I don't know. It's a bad taste in my mouth. The way they're approaching this. Forge should have been here long ago. Like, and here's the thing: I know how complicated this stuff is. I'm not saying that they were not working their butts off trying to get it done. It's just it's too late. Like. I don't feel like they're going to get a lot of their community back. I mean, maybe when Forge really hits. I don't think campaign co-op is going to bring a lot of people back. I mean, a handful, sure. Forge is not going to be ready season 2. I don't see that happening. And if so, it's going to be in such a stripped-down mode. You're looking at season 3, and I don't know if it's going to be at the start of season 3. We'll see. I know that it looks like it is on this roadmap, but I'm not too confident in their roadmap. I mean, they've been flaky, it seems like, up till now, so...
Well,
I don't know.
I got nothing more to add. Like, I'm just not particularly interested. Like, I feel like I would play if you played, but that would be about it. I'm not going out of my way to go back. For
me, there are other games coming out, man, and you're the same.
I'm so far behind on games that are out. Like, I've got a list of like 5 games. I still want to play Psychonauts 2. Still want to play Guardians. I want to play that Lost in Random game. I'm just swamped with games I'd like to play. I'm not going to go back to play Halo.
So I have a question, and I know we've talked about this kind of, but I'm curious if now that we're seeing their roadmap, if this might change either of our opinions about it. So should they have delayed the game longer? Released it this November?
Oh, now you want to bring when you didn't agree before.
I'm not saying I agree yet. I'm just curious if maybe your opinion has shifted or changed.
Well, we've talked about how I don't think they should have, because I believe they waited long enough. But yeah, seeing this again, it's hard to answer that, because you'd have to know why are they so far behind? Was it troubled development? Are they just not staffed anymore? Because I know once the game came out, major people left. You know what I mean? When was this roadmap made? Was this made years in advance, or did they just concoct this up?
This is new.
Yeah.
This is a new roadmap. And here's the thing: I think a lot of people are starting to forget this, or maybe not give it enough attention. I will give them a lot of leeway, because I know COVID probably hit all of them hard. So I know that slowed things down a lot, and for that I get it. But I don't know. Like, I think it gave them some good. Oh, how do I phrase this? it was good they released it when they did. I think they needed that boost to, Halo in
It
general.
definitely
They
came
needed
out
that
at a
from
good
the form.
time. Like, I don't think they could have put it out at a better time, but, maybe that's why
I
they
think
did it.
what I think it's one of those things though that they looked at the immediate benefit and were hoping they can make it the long term, and I think that's where they're going to shoot themselves in the
No
foot
major
because
Call of Duty game, no Battlefields down,
yeah, it was a good time for that. But here's the thing: I think now they've probably taken so long to get the ball rolling. They've lost a lot of their fan base. I mean, maybe they'll bring it back. I mean, Halo's definitely has, a fervent, community behind it
Oh, it's got
when,
a very hard. I feel like more than ever, this one's got a very hardcore, like, online.
well, they've dropped a lot. I mean, the numbers are not anywhere what they used to be. And I feel like because they've taken so long, I don't think the numbers are ever going to be what they could have been
Probably
if
not.
they would have waited. If they would have released the game this year and Forge would have popped out with it, I think this community would have started strong and stuck with it for a decade.
I think they.
Like,
Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
no,
I think they said
that was my last one.
I think they said the numbers for this game. It's finally back to where now Master Chief Collection has more concurrent players. I think they just said within the last few weeks. So now it feels like all of the dedicated Halo people maybe are going back to MCC versus this one.
There's more to do there. There's more content. You have all those games, all those maps. Like, there's just more to play in that than there is in Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm hoping this will be kind of an MCC kind of situation. Like, MCC had a bunch of issues, took that game several years, and now it has a huge community. And maybe that's where Infinite will end up at. But it's going to be a slow build, I think, back to that. When they could have had, I think, a strong community to begin with, and probably could have kept it if they could have been a little quicker with some of this content.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up there, guys. Sad to see, but I feel like me and Phoenix had our fun with the game. I have no problem moving on, and perhaps this will be the last time you hear about us talking about this until maybe when the co-op comes out. But you'll see me and Phoenix maybe do some more streaming on that. But yep. So what's that? That's August. So now we have to talk Halo Infinite until August, pretty much. But yeah, guys, I guess we've kind of done it all. I guess I'll kind of a couple little things I wanted to mention. Once again, our audio versions, I'll put them right above my head. Audio versions are available here. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to ask us about topics or just questions in general, feel free to reach out on our on my social medias. Once again, that's EnteR ChazmaN, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and as always, leave comments down below on YouTube. I love kind of interacting with you guys, and I don't know, I find questions are always super fun. So yeah, Phoenix, anything else you got going on, or anything you wanted to mention or to talk about?
No, not in particular. I mean, I know we're trying to finish up playing through Nobody Saves the World, so hopefully maybe that can be something.
I'm really enjoying that game.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. I'm glad we're getting back into it. But yeah, hopefully we can wrap that up here in the next couple of live streams, and then talk about that maybe on an upcoming podcast. That'll be a fun one.
That would be a fun one to talk about. Yeah, that one. I mean, I feel like that game's. Everyone who talked about it has talked about it already, but again, I kind of do like this format that we have going on of giving ourselves the opportunity of talking about what we're playing and talking about stuff that maybe other people, this is my favorite place to kind of give my opinion on games or whatever we're talking about or playing or watching. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I'm down for it.
Cool, guys. Well, as always, keep an eye out. We are going to do our next episode on Thursday night, so we'll try and have that episode. I'll try and have that episode out Friday. But yeah, also throughout the week, keep an eye out for some of the highlights from this video if you would rather consume the podcast that way. But as always, I just want to say thank you so much, Phoenix.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, love you. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Adios. Thank you for joining.